This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn. Hello, Alex.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. I'm so pleased that on our podcast today, we have Tom Stanhope joining us. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Alex. Hello, Erica. Thank you for having me here.
So, Alex, you and I have been talking about AI for a long time, and I think our earlier episodes of the podcast, we delved into tip of AI, but Tom is an AI expert. So I thought this is the opportune time to talk to an expert about AI. So
Great.
welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. I am thoroughly looking forward to this. I do love chatting AI. So this is perfect. Perfect.
Brilliant. Well, why don't you kick us off by talking about where the business owner should start? You know, AI is this vast topic, and it's literally everywhere now, right? When you look, everybody's talking AI. There's new tools coming up that are better than ChatGPT. Like almost every day, there's something new. In this minefield of AI, as a business owner, as a marketing exec for a business, where do we start, Tom?
I think that is one of that sort of promise of overwhelm that people sort of, when they start looking at the world of AI, whether it's business owners or people who are using AI to sort of supplement what their teams are doing in larger organizations. It's a consistent theme that sort of comes up in the conversations that we're having. It might be worth just taking a little step back to sort of frame to frame the conversation from my understanding of AI. So I've been in the world of video and content creation for 23 years almost now, and I set up the business AI Survival Skills with Chantal Davison, who is a copywriter, and we're both from creative industries backgrounds, and the sort of predominant kind of attitude towards AI with a lot of people who are involved in sort of creative industries is pretty negative. And particularly in the sort of copywriting space, there's a lot of fear around this taking people's jobs, and that sort of can frame a lot of the narrative that we have around these tools. And so myself and Chantal came to this with an attitude of well, this stuff isn't going anywhere, so we have to accept that these tools are here to stay, and we have to learn to understand them. And I think actually, no matter what industry you're in, what your business does, you kind of have to adopt that sort of attitude. And we are still at the bottom of this adoption curve, whilst it can feel like it is everywhere, because there's a lot of talk about it, and there's a lot of conversation online. You'll see people sharing their thoughts and feelings and opinions and ideas about about AI on all the platforms we're active on. But the truth is, we're not the world's most useful sample group when it comes to the wider population, because whilst people are becoming more aware of it, they're not really necessarily fully cognizant of what it can achieve, what it can be used for. And it's really easy to make the assumption as people who are using it regularly, perhaps, that the general public knows a lot more about it, but also that everybody in the business world knows about it. And what we're finding time and time again is that people don't know a great deal, as generally speaking. We have our areas of interest and expertise that we sort of allow us to sort of focus in on, perhaps if there are particular tools that help us or support us in our jobs. But what that is kind of, I guess, what that gives, when we're talking to people, what that gives me an ability to talk to people about is say, look, we are at the start of this adoption curve. Not knowing stuff, that's an acceptable position to be in at this stage. So don't feel that you've got to go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. You can take a staged approach to this stuff. They are just tools. and there isn't anything mystical or magical about them, but understanding how they fit into your business operations, into your kind of day-to-day working life can start in a number of different ways. And one of the ways that we're sort of encouraging the people that we're working with is to, first of all, master the very basics. So for something, working with something like ChatGPT or Claude or whichever tool you're using, first of all, understand how to communicate with these systems in the most effective way to get the best out of it. And that's really that's a very simple set of rules, effectively. Then work out how they're going to support you in what you do on a daily basis, rather than maybe pull you down rabbit holes or kind of make you feel like your job is at risk. Perhaps, you know, we have to sort of help people understand that this is a step-by-step process, and not knowing about these tools is okay. People haven't missed the boat. We're still at the bottom of this adoption curve.
No, I completely agree with that. I mean, for me, you just saying that it's a tool, it's just such an important thing to say and repeat to people. The perception of AI is that it's better than the human. It replaces the human, replaces multiple humans at any one time. But at least from my point of view, it's not doing that. At least in my own world, anyway. It's really just a workflow. It makes my workflow more efficient. Then, like what Eric was also pointed out, it's a minefield. That's the other thing. It's actually become kind of overwhelming. I think before AI, we always had lots of different solutions. I'm just going to be talking from a marketing point of view, especially from a small business owner's point of view. Even before AI, it was a minefield in terms of what tool should I use,
what CRM, there's lots, right?
What strategy should I use, blah, 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 from a small business owner, and it was you just couldn't see the wood through the trees, and that's why. And then when AI came across, even for me, who has been working in marketing for a long time and using all of these tools for a long time and have a really good grasp of what works for me and what doesn't, even within the tools that I've been using, and now they're incorporating AI, at some point it's kind of becoming overwhelming to me. It's like, okay, how many new AI tools do I need to use? And around the fear, but maybe we've been made fearful of AI because of movies like The Terminator or I, Robot, or what's the other one? Have you seen Ex Machina, the one with the girl? Yeah, that one. Incredible, really good movies. But I feel like that's what we have in our mind when we think about AI, is that someone's going to come from somewhere, even from the future, come back and murder us all.
And say, don't use ChatGPT, you're starting a storm.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or ChatGPT will come personified as, like, I don't know, a big scary monster coming out from the future and just eat us all. Obviously, there's a bit of an exaggeration, but I think in some form or another, people have that in their minds that we're going to be taken over AI from that way. But just remembering that it's a tool, and a very useful one at that, it is quite healthy to remember. And when you're talking about copywriting as well, for me, it's really obvious when someone has used
absolutely,
for copywriting. It's a really good tool to kind of get the bones of what you want to say, or you can just sort of feed pieces of information that you want it to dissect, and for it to create the body of the text. And then when you get the text, it's like AI. I'm even trying to like mitigate some of that obvious AI terminology when I'm writing. I say, write something without using the overused AI terms and phrases. And it does kind of help, but it still comes back with phrases that are very, very obvious. And even from that point of view, you still need someone who can write it in it loses some personality, definitely. I think the personality side of AI is at least for now is not quite there.
It's such an interesting sort of point to be using this stuff out, because it does feel like we're very close to the promise of science fiction, in as much that we've got access to these tools, which, you know, they can do remarkable things. I mean, it's incredible. I still when I use ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, the the outputs, it's still, I still find it remarkable even
Yeah.
now. But it is, you know, you the outputs you get, like you say, there are certain phrases that, you know, that it uses time and time again, and there is a neat little way to sort of to get it to rewrite things. It's a little cheeky, but I'll share that in a minute. But yeah, so phrases like, it loves to use phrases like roller coaster and kind of, you know, there's, and likes a double emoji and all these things. What's interesting actually is that, so I've shifted most of my copywriting sort of ideation over to using Claude, because it's just so much better, to the point where some of the outputs are starting to, they'll come out and I go, actually, I'm not going to have to change that much from that. So I think we're at a point where we've got a tool that is great for kind of for sort of the ideation for when it comes to sort of, you know, copywriting. But what I'm finding it really useful for is all around the business operations side of stuff. So one of the things that I like to get people to do when they're kind of when they're coming to use these tools the first time is one, understand that actually there's lots and lots of different ways to use it, because people get quite hung up on the idea that this is a content creation tool, when in fact it's a sort of a data analysis suite of tools which can do all sorts of exciting different things. So one of the places where I'm finding, for not just for my businesses, but also for the people that we're working with, the big wins are going through a frankly quite tedious process of mapping systems and operations. So doing that kind of standard operating procedure process, which of course, you know, we all know we should have all these things set out, but the reality is not everybody does. So helping people go through that process of mapping procedures and operations, and then spending time working out where these AI tools can slot into these processes. So, you know, and then make an assessment as to whether it's saving you time, or is it making you money? What's it doing? Is it freeing your time up so you can do more useful tasks within your business? So one of the things that I use it for every day. So whenever I have a sales call or a discovery call, I've created an automation off the back of that call. So I have my Zoom call. As soon as the meeting finishes, the automation kicks in, downloads the file from Zoom, the sales call from Zoom, transcribes it automatically, then puts the transcript through a process. There's sort of some prompts where it's assessing the call for buying signals, where it's assessing it against the kind of the product suites that we have for that thing, and then it sends me an email with that sort of outline proposal document and sort of buying signals and whatever, you know, information about that conversation, what the person was interested in, what the action points in the meeting are, what are the tasks that I've got to do, and then that pops into my inbox 2 or 3 minutes later. Now in the past, that was a real block for me, because I would have the meeting, then I'd massively overthink about it all, maybe for 24 hours, at which point, you know, as the clock ticks on, we know what happens the longer you leave that lead. So I was like, okay, this is a place where this can help. And
Absolutely.
It does. It's so, you know, but I'm not handing over the process of writing the proposal. I'm just getting it to the point where it can go, this person is interested in these things. Don't forget to sort of add this into the kind of, you know, into the proposal. And here's the best bits from our product suite for this particular person, given the conversation you've had.
Yeah.
I can then take that and readjust it and sort of turn it into a proposal that gets sent over. It can be as little as like 40 minutes after the meeting that I've actually, you know, it's up and out, and it's over to somebody, and we've got something that's done and out, you know, in which would have, you know, taken ages. And I think that's where these tools become really exciting, is when you start to slot them into the places in your business where either you have sort of barriers to success, or that are sort of laborious and and the things that are easily repeatable. They sort of have replicable elements to the operation that you can then go slot a piece of AI technology.
Yeah, I mean, and that the efficiencies that creates for you is almost invaluable. And you think about that, that's just such a scalable operational setup as well. If you think about, because you're a one-man band, two-man band.
Well, it's myself, Chantel, and we've got sort of a VA, a couple of VAs working with us, but it's effectively it's
but you can imagine the efficiency that can bring across a large call center, for example, of 200-300 people.
It's really exciting, and I find it was that moment when you realize that actually, because these tools are drawing from this huge data set of information about how people are and what they do and what the way they behave, it can look at a call and start to identify buying signals and those kind of things, and things that you might have missed. But what it's really useful for in that situation is the fact that I can be 100% present in that meeting. I'm not having to make notes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that is brilliant.
Yeah, I love finding things like that. So I'm slowly going through all of my. I like taking my own medicine. So I'm doing all of the, we're doing this with other people, but I'm doing it to all the aspects of my business that require a little bit more, places that require a little bit more grease and a little less friction.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, the other part that I like to have fun, right? So the part I'm doing is having a little bit of fun with AI. And recently I created a song for Alex and I about the marketing detective agency.
Nice.
And it was awesome. I mean, maybe not the tune we would have chosen, but the lyrics weren't bad, right, Alex?
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
Was that on something like Udio or one of those tools like this sort of? I can't think what the other ones.
I can't remember what it was called now, but yeah, it was a songwriting AI, right? I typed in that we are a marketing agency that really likes identifying target customers, and it brought all of that into the song, right? It was like really cool. So I think there's also that aspect of not being too bogged down, but just have some fun with it. It's creative. It can do different things. Today is my dog's first birthday. He's 1 today, Arthur, and so I've got a happy birthday Arthur song written by AI. My family hates this, by the way. They think I'm totally insane. I keep posting in the family WhatsApp group, here's my latest song, because I'm just having an absolute ball with this.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone's interested, you did it on Suno.
Well, yes, that was it.
suno.com. suno.com.
Yes, that was the one. And so I think that's the other aspect of not being frightened, but just you can't break stuff really. So play with it, have some fun, do something different, see if you like it or hate it. I have to be honest, the first version of the song I did not like, so I said try again.
well, this is it. This is I think that's a really, really important lesson, because there's quite a lot of fear about this stuff, and people are very reluctant to try stuff out, like in case the robots come for you. I mean, I'm always very polite to ChatGPT, just in case.
That's so funny you say that, because sometimes I'm writing please and thank you, and then I say to myself, why am I writing please and thank you?
In case the robots do rise up, remember, you're okay. You were very polite. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
you can stay.
It's keeping the good books of AI.
Be a kept human.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what the sort of whether there's any particular tools that I'm really liking. So, I mean, I think the big, I mean, certainly coming from a video point of view, I think the big shift that we're going to see coming up later this year is the real kind of full full-blooded text to video stuff.
Yeah.
Coming through kind of the likes of Sora and ChatGPT. I think those things are going to be far more revolutionary, I think, because it's so visual, and because people will be able to create amazing and kind of astonishing video content literally just from typing some prompts. And there are some tools out there at the moment that are kind of in publicly available, but they're still a bit rough and ready. You know, they still do the weird kind of, hey, how many hands do you want? Probably more than
the text to video at the moment is just unusable, really.
Yeah, it really is.
So when we get to that point, though, as you said that you spend the last 25 years as a video editor creator, I think you said, so people within your industry, so especially like business short animation video creators, where there's a lot of those agencies around. So what if we do get to the point where text to animation becomes, you know, seamless? You can literally say, this is my idea, and it creates an extremely high quality 1 minute explainer video, for example. I know we're talking about using it as a tool and not taking people's jobs, but just on that, like where do you see the opportunity for the animation companies, the video companies, when we get to that point?
I mean, I think the truth of the matter is that a lot of them are going to have a very, very rude awakening, I think, you know, and if people are not sort of looking at this technology and finding ways to prepare themselves for what's coming down the line, I think it's really naive to think that this isn't going to mean that some businesses just go under, because if you are running an in-house sort of, if you've got an in-house team and sort of somebody can create an idea and turn it into an animated explainer that looks brilliant and does all the things you need it to, and it costs comparatively, you know, pennies, or go out to an agency and sort of push over, you know, 10-15 grand to get something done, you know, it's not gonna fly, you know. Nobody, you know, unless you want something really, really bespoke. And there will be a place for that, I think, but I think the amount of businesses that will be able to provide that will probably be a lot smaller than they currently are. And I think, you know, we will see people sort of, unfortunately, sort of fall by the wayside. But this happens with every technological shift. And, you know, one of the reasons I've kind of scaled back on the video side of things over the last 18 months is because I'm looking at it and thinking, I can see where this is going. You know, I think unless we pivot, horrible word, with, you know, unless we make that sort of at least acknowledge the risk that's coming down the pipeline, then if I get proved wrong, fine. You know, all that's happened is I've sort of ended up in a different sort of marketplace. But if I've stayed put and the worst happens, then I will be significantly behind where I would like to be, and also trying to make progress in what is probably going to be a fairly crowded field if a lot of other people in my industry have found their jobs are now redundant or replaced by kind of by various AI tools. But I think that is the unfortunate inevitable side of a big technology.
I think you're right. I mean, it may not even be kind of the pivot, like you said. There's going to be new opportunities with that technology brings. For if we look at music, for example, you know, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we had acoustic instruments, and then we had synthesizers, then we had computers where you could replicate those organic acoustic sounds. But guess what? What happened? New genres of music came out. We had people who became masters of music production within the electronic side. So before that, there's a kind of, the fear that, oh no, now we don't need musicians because you can just press play. Well, actually, no. You've now got new genres that require huge amount of skill to be able to exceed in that field. So with the advent of text to video, there's probably going to be something around that requires a high level skilled person to be able to capitalize on whatever that opportunity is. I can't see that in my head right now, but
you're still going to fundamentally need a creative in that process, somebody to write a
Yeah.
script, somebody to come up with an idea that is worthwhile putting into these systems. And I think that's where the humanity is going to be, the human creativity is going to be valuable, where you have, because anybody, as we were sort of saying earlier, anybody can go to ChatGPT and kind of pull a lever and sort of pump out sort of dreadful boilerplate copy. But it requires, if you want to use it well, you still need a human who understands, the sort of the psychology of buying, what people, what understands the nature of copywriting in order to turn it into something that's actually useful for businesses to use. And I think that kind of that's where, and I think that's where the human survives. I think in that sort of
understanding the
space.
nuance of the human is.
But I think that's also the space for specialities, in that target audience becomes so much more important, because within this, as with everything, target audience defines whether they do want the AI quick version, but somebody needs to be able to craft that properly, right? Whether you, or the higher budget you have, you're probably going to want we saw that even in TV production, right, Alex? Is some people are quite happy with the animation, but some people want a proper shoot we did lots and lots of shoots in a graveyard with actual people, because you need to see them crying and also stuff, right? Like, so really it depends on the target audience. What is going to resonate? Because at some point, people are going to also become bored of all explainer videos looking exactly the same, because they're all AI generated. Right?
That's what will happen.
There's a level that they're not going to break through anymore, because it's going to be sameness, so I think that's where specialities come into play. I saw an example the other day, because I'm always looking at new stuff, and this guy was showing how image generation by AI has improved over time. And he started with, a year ago, a picture of a grainy image of Obama in Manchester, like really, really grainy. And then what it looked like 6 months ago, and then generated today. And the one today is much more real. I can tell you. So over a year, 12-month period, this has improved dramatically from where it was. But then it brings to question ethics, because Obama's never been in Manchester. So if you start having this image generator that can, we already have a problem of fake news. We already have a problem of now fake images. Like it brings an ethics question into play, don't you think, Tom? As to how do we control the ethics of what's going out there now?
Well, I mean, I think this starts both with the organization. So, one of the things that I'm really keen on is organizations having very clear AI use policies. So what, setting out as an organization what you will and will not be using AI for, and setting out some kind of ground rules for how you use it internally, but also how you use it for client projects. So everyone's very clear about what the do's and don'ts are. So I think if you can start off in a sort of governance, sort of with some sort of governance ideals to work to, because I think the reality is legislation is so slow, like compared to the speed at which the technological change is happening. Governments will always be 10 steps behind the sort of their understanding of what needs to happen. So I wouldn't mind betting that eventually we'll catch up, and there will be some sort of, I don't know, whatever the GDPR equivalent is for AI, sort of how we kind of can ensure that honest communication from large organizations is at least kind of baked in, or there are some kind of stiff penalties for people who play fast and loose with it. But the truth is, I can go and create a pretty passable video avatar of myself, and I can create a voice clone for myself, and I can create video content from that of me. So but we can also do it for anyone. You can create these avatars very easy, and the technology it's a bit uncanny valley at the moment. 18 months on from now, it'll be amazing. And I think
we can do testimonials by Barack Obama saying he loves working with you, Tom.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I've already got that.
There we go.
I share them very, very sparingly. Yeah, and I think my feeling on this is that there's going to be a significant. This is based on nothing other than sort of supposition. I do wonder if it's going to play out like this. I think that we might see significant dip in trust around certain types of video content, certain types of imagery, and then it will be down to. I wonder if the value of live video, live events becomes much more intense because. Because people will be able to trust their eyes. Whereas online, I mean, you only need to look what's happening at the moment with all the disinformation that's going on around on X with all the riots that are going on. It's very difficult if you are not of an analytical mindset to go onto these platforms and work out what is and is not true. And if you start adding in fake imagery to back up half-baked ideas, you're going to find that the lines between what people understand to be real and what they understand to be fake are very, very, very thin indeed. And I think I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, which is the slightly depressing.
Do you think we'll ever see maybe a temporary death of social media at any point in terms of user objection, saying why am I here?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind betting that something like that might happen if all we are seeing is terrible AI kind of knockoffs of real people kind of spouting nonsense, trying to get people to buy stuff. I mean, it's kind of it. I think things like live video are going to be really, really valuable because you will be able to have that in-person communication with audiences, but also long form content like the conversation we're having here. This longer form content is going to be, I think, incredibly valuable when if you've got this kind of sausage machine of short form sort of disposable content that AI is producing. I think more valuable long form content, live content is going to become much more valuable. But yeah, I mean, I think your point, Alex, about the possible temporary death of social, or at least certainly an exhaustion to it, and maybe whether people will just start tuning it out, whether they kind of go, well, what, why would I listen to any adverts here? Because they're all, I think that's a really, really good point.
Yeah, and I think just going back to the ethics thing that you're saying, Erica, I mean, it's legislation. I know legislation is slow, but it's critical. It's absolutely critical that there are broad legislations across the use of AI and the development, probably more so the development of AI, what you can and cannot allow it to do. I mean, I was thinking though, how many people in government and regulatory bodies are actually using AI to create legislation though? That's very nice.
But is this not a space for differentiation? So we know for a fact authenticity works. And so for any business owner listening, this is a space where you can own your authenticity and keep it. And then take Tom's point and be proactive and put out your AI policy. Just draft it and just say, don't reject AI. I'm not of that mind, because I think that has longer term implications. But state clearly where you're going to use it.
Yeah.
And I think if businesses take this forward thinking and are proactive in that stance, you're already differentiating yourself from the masses, right? Because then when people are choosing and they're going, oh, here's 55 businesses all using AI generated content, where here's a business being clear about where they use it, when they use it, why they use it. I'm going to go with clarity rather than big black hole and I actually don't have a clue what's going on, right? So it's about thinking of the future and then taking those proactive steps to say, well, how can we stay authentic, because people like authentic, as well as differentiate ourselves and actually be proactive. So I think there's opportunity here if people just take a few minutes and think about it. And even if you get ChatGPT to write your AI policy, that's okay. You can say that, right?
Yeah.
Please get a lawyer to check it. But, you know, get ChatGPT to write the first draft of your AI usage policy and then go through it and see if you're happy.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about authenticity, that is what will help businesses stand out. And I mean, it always has.
Always has.
Always has been and always will be. And especially, probably more so now than ever, because as we get flooded with, as we're saying, with very similar content, anyone who's coming out with something authentic is going to stand out from the crowd a lot more than the others. So I think that is always a key one.
Awesome. Tom, so tell us, what are your top 3 tips for our listeners on getting into AI, using AI? What is your suggestion?
Okay, so you get started. I think the first one is sort of get started. If you are somebody who hasn't used it before, there's Claude, which is Anthropic's large language model, ChatGPT. They're really, really easy places to start. Go along, sort of get yourself an account, get set up, and start playing. But come at it with this sort of basic kind of the rules of engagement. When you're using it, first of all, ask it to act in a particular way. So I'll start all of my prompts with act as ... So it could be act as a buyer psychology expert, or act as so you're framing first of all how the tool is going to act, so it knows which bit of information to sort of go off and sort of pick from. And instantly, if you only just use that, you'll see as a sort of a starter a lot of improvements in the responses that you get.
Right.
Now, the other thing that's really useful with these particular kind of tools is that you can add in reference documents. So if you have your client avatar, your ideal customer information, put that in as a reference document and say, acting as a buyer psychology expert and referring to the documents, look, and then you can give it the problem, sort of, help me create a 30-day video content plan to help address the problems that this particular customer avatar has. So use reference documents to refine what these tools can do. And then I think the final piece of information is don't just, and we've talked about this already, don't just copy, paste, use the outputs as a starting point. Don't abdicate responsibility to these tools, because if you start doing that, you'll end up sounding like everybody else. And people can already tell when ChatGPT, we look at it, we go on LinkedIn, we can see instantly who's kind of using it in a sort of an unvarnished way. So that's what I'd say if you're a completely new user. For somebody who's maybe using these tools already, but maybe in a slightly more ad hoc way, I'd say the way you're going to get the most out of them is to look at them as kind of strategic partners, or sort of use them in your systems, identify the places within the processes in your business where adding in an automation alongside some AI assistance is going to speed things up, find some efficiencies, free up some time so you can do more valuable work.
Oh, love that. That's awesome. And if people need your help, Tom, if they want to get hold of you, how can they do that? How can you help our listeners?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Tom Stanhope, and we have a page for AI survival skills, but we also have the AI survival skills website, which is aisurvivalskills.co.uk. And we have a membership for that, as well as doing kind of done for you services as well. So, you know, if the idea of setting up all these automations is a little bit onerous, we can come in with our sort of workman's hats on and get under the bonnet and do some tinkering.
Sounds awesome. Alex, do you want to leave our audience with anything?
No, I mean, I just agree with everything that Tom said, really. I mean, the main thing is just use it as a tool. Don't be afraid to use it, but sense check it and compare it to your own thoughts, and don't undervalue your own thoughts, because they are adding the authenticity to it.
Awesome. And I'm going to add with, please have fun, play with it. Have a little bit of fun, generate some funky stuff, and just have a good laugh, because it's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tom. It's been really great chatting to you today, and I'm sure we will be talking to you soon.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Bye.
That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.